What's up, 2K crew? It's your boy Turbo and 2Ks coming at you today on Saturday. Welcome to episode 43. We're going to try to keep I'm going to try to keep 2K's energy kind of going here today. He's not in the best of moods, which I'm sure most of you can kind of wager the reason why. And we'll kind of jump off into that. But we got some college football talk, some college basketball talk, and we're actually going to talk a little bit about the NBA. Because that season actually has started.
Hmm?
I was not aware until about 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, but yeah, we're going to tease you with some NBA, and towards the end of the show, we're going to give you another little teaser for next week's episode. So stick around till the end, because I think this is going to be something really fucking cool. So 2Ks, let's rip it off like a Band-Aid. Michigan got outplayed today.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down.
I mean, Ohio State's a better team. I question if there's anybody in the country that is better than Ohio State. I mean, they made the jump last week, and a lot of people were pretty surprised that they jumped over LSU. Well, I think it's pretty easy to see that they are the best team in college football right now.
Like you and I had kind of, I know we were kind of joking at the time, but I think the best defense that Ohio State faces is their own defense in practice. I don't see another defense that's that good. Now the first half, Shea was carving them up.
Yeah.
Shea was carving them up, and you could tell the play design was to get the ball out of Patterson's hands as fast as possible. Get it to those stud receivers, let them do the yards after the catch, and they were. They weren't running the ball that much, but that was, and when you do that, you're kind of neutralizing Chase Young for the most part. And if you watch any of that game, he had 0 tackles, 0 sacks. So the offensive line did a great job keeping him at bay. But I think that in the game plan, they kind of forgot about the offense and the studs that they have on there. And I've been throughout, leading up to this game the last week, I've been saying that the key to their success is J.K. Dobbins. Everything goes off of him. Now, I know Justin Fields is a fantastic athlete and an amazing quarterback. But if you look at it, I'm pretty sure Dobbins could have had 5 or 6 touchdowns today. He had 3. And that just kind of led the way of what actually happened. And the game initially was pretty close. Pretty close. And Michigan stepped on their dick, and the fumble by Shea, which was a 14-point swing, and just some very un-Harbaugh-like mistakes from his players. The one where the dude lined up offsides on a punt, which gave him a first down, and then like 3 plays later they score. And just the amount of drop passes. I mean, Patterson has to be frustrated as hell when you put, I guess they always say the worst place to hit a wide receiver is in his hands. But those are your money makers, bro. Those are your money makers. And we've been on Bell's train for pretty much the whole season, and he's young and he has his dropsies every now and again, but Peoples-Jones shouldn't be dropping passes, especially when they hit him in stride. Overall, I thought Shea played a hell of a game. He did have the one fumble, but he wasn't getting any help.
No. And once this game, once it started to go south, it just went. I mean, I hate to use the word that they just gave up, but they had nothing left in the tank.
They ran out of steam.
Yeah, there was once Ohio State got ahead by 2 scores, and I think it got to a 3-score game, and it was you can't fall behind to a team like that and then expect to come back. You have to somehow keep that into a 1-drive situation to be able to stay in it. And they're a good football team, and Ohio State does not. I mean, they've been doing this to everybody all season long.
Exactly.
They had their one ugly game last week against Penn State where they turned the ball over 3 times, and that's why they only scored 28 points. Other than that, they're throwing up 30 plus, 40 plus every single week.
And to kind of continue on that point, because I think it was the third quarter. It was the second or third quarter where Fields got hurt. Backup comes in. This backup's thrown 6 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because they're blowing everybody out.
Yeah,
the only possible way that anybody can beat Ohio State is if you can turn them over, because you can't stop them enough to be able to beat them. You have to turn them over, and and Penn State was able to do that, and that's why Penn State had a chance in the fourth quarter to take that game away. But no, there's been some really good Ohio State teams over the years, especially since Urban's been there. Even going back to when Tressel was there, they had some really good teams. This might be the best team that they've ever had.
And they were talking about that, and while Brady Quinn was wearing a scarf that looked like a fucking blanket.
Well, he went to Notre Dame.
Shut up. But but they were discussing the fact that is this indeed the best Ohio State team ever? I don't follow Ohio State enough to actually. I mean, I know there's going to be one of my dudes out there saying Troy Smith's senior year, that was the best Ohio State team ever.
Well, to me, you can't answer the question yet.
No.
I mean, now
they're not done yet.
Yeah, if they go on to win the national championship, that's when. It's going to be very hard to argue that. Yeah,
but if they shit the bed and lose, I mean, don't even get to the playoff game or lose the playoff game. You know, there's still a lot of season left and a lot of things to be proven, but I know my boy Corey, and I know how much of a hard-on he has for Troy Smith. Always has. Doesn't think he got a fair shake in the NFL. Heisman Trophy winner. And I could just hear him say, "Turb, man, can't believe you forgot Troy Smith's team. Can't believe it. Can't believe it's unbelievable. Talk about it all the time."
No, Troy Smith's team won against Michigan in the last game of the season on a fucking bunk-ass call on the sidelines, a late hit call, and that was the only reason why they even won that game.
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you.
Get out of here with that shit.
I love it. I love it. So going forward, I know that we kind of touched on this last week. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to place the blame of this loss directly on Harbaugh, directly on Patterson, which I don't think either one. You can only coach him up so much, and then talent and a God-given ability lead you further. Ohio State looked like a very well-oiled machine.
Yeah, I mean, from the time that Urban Meyer took over Ohio State's program there, they were winning. That makes it a hell of a lot easier to recruit. You can keep on recruiting when you're winning. Michigan was coming off of winning 6 games under Hoke, under Rich Rod. People weren't lining up anymore to go to Michigan and play. They weren't bringing in the top recruits year in, year out. They're finally getting back to, Harbaugh is winning recruiting battles. He's bringing in players. He's bringing in 5-star talent, but it's going to take some more time.
And if I'm not mistaken, Ohio State's won 13 of the last 14 or some stupid shit like that.
Yeah, going into the day, they had won 14 of the last 15.
Okay, so now 15 of the last
16. Yep.
Last time I checked, Harbaugh wasn't there 10 years ago. So he has nothing to do with this past record. Is he 0-5 now? Sure. Again, getting back to who are you going to replace him with?
Yeah.
And
you're going to start this process
all over again. All over again. Yep. So Michigan fans I know, because I've already seen it on fucking Facebook. I have. Calm down. Coach Belichick's not going to leave the Patriots and go to TB12's alma mater and, bring TB12 and be a fucking offensive coordinator. That's not going to happen, guys. And I know I'm being very, very facetious with this, but Jim Harbaugh's the right man for the job. And if he's been there for 4 years, that means there's been one season of all his recruits go through. Calm the fuck down. Calm down. And I know we're going to beat this into your head for probably the whole next 2 years. Calm down. Yeah. Calm down. But...
And the one thing, I mean, we've talked about it a lot. He's got more pressure than, probably any coach in America as far as that goes. Maybe Jason Garrett might have something to say about that in Dallas.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
But, and I read a lot of things, and, Michigan fans wanting him gone, but I think it all kind of gets misplayed because a lot of the stuff that people are posting are coming from people that are not even Michigan fans or Michigan
Right.
State fans that are running their mouths, or Notre Dame fans, or I mean, if I was a Michigan State fan, I'd probably shut the fuck up because
Your coach should be fired before Harbaugh.
yes, and Mr. When you want to flip it to the other sport there at Michigan State with Mr. Izzo, what the fuck has he done since the early 2000s?
It's a good question.
I mean, the only thing that I ever hear from Michigan State people is, "Oh, just wait till March." I've been waiting for March for a long fucking time, and I haven't seen Michigan State do shit.
January, February, Izzo.
So,
But yeah, looking forward, I mean, we've touched on it before. Michigan's a very young team. You know, they're obviously going to be without Shea next year. But the vast majority of the players are still going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So, if anything, you have a very good foundation to build on and keep going to build get to the point where Urban was when he left Ohio State. He left the cabinet completely full. Mm-hmm. And then Justin Fields was just kind of this, cherry on top. So, and then looking forward from here for Ohio State, they're going to face either Wisconsin or Minnesota in the Big Ten title game next week. And we're watching the Notre Dame Stanford game, which I'm shocked at the score already. But we're still in the first quarter, kind of give you a time frame of when we're recording this. Who are you taking, Wisconsin or Minnesota?
I think Minnesota. I just with Wisconsin, they're just not the same team that we were watching in the first 6-7 weeks of the season. It seems like they took that loss to Illinois, and I don't know what the heck happened after that.
They packed it up and left for the year. Mm-hmm. As much as I want to take Minnesota, I think I'm going to have to lean towards Wisconsin on this one. I think I'm going to have to lean towards Wisconsin just surely for the fact that I think JT is going to have one hell of a game. Minnesota's defense is legit. Their whole team's legit. I mean, let's be honest. And it's just going to be a matter of can they keep Wisconsin, or can Wisconsin keep Minnesota out of the end zone? Can they keep because their quarterback's legit, their wide receivers legit, their running backs legit. Can they keep those skill players once they get the ball in their hands out of the end zone? And where that pitching like 3 or 4 shutouts in a row or whatever to start the season. Granted, I know first couple were cupcakes, but it takes a lot to shut out a football team. Mm-hmm. And when it seemed like they were doing it with relative ease, like the defense had given up as many touchdowns as they had scored at one point. And you're right. Where did that go? I have no idea. I'm not gonna say I follow Wisconsin. I'm not a huge Wisconsin fan, so I don't know how their depth chart is or if they've had injuries. But something has happened, and I think this is going to be the game when it's all put on the line. Push your chips to the middle of the fucking table. This is the last game, unless we beat Minnesota. And there's just something tells me that that's going to happen. Now, it's probably going to be 28-24 game, somewhere in there. It's not going to be a whole lot of scoring, but it's going to be enough to be fucking interesting. So, and would it shock me if Minnesota won? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So you're saying you're taking Minnesota into the Big Ten title game.
I am.
See if PJ can get all up in those Buckeyes. I think either one will be a hell of a game.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at because Ohio State and Minnesota didn't play against each other this season.
Right.
You go back to Ohio State, Wisconsin, and that was a blowout. That's coming off of I think if I remember right, that was the week after Wisconsin was upset by Illinois. They went right from that right to Ohio State. I don't know what the hell happened with that football team in that 2-3 weeks stretch there.
Maybe they had mono like Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened, but I got to think that if they had another opportunity to play Ohio State, it would be a better game.
I do too.
Again, I don't think that there's anybody in the Big Ten that can take down Ohio State.
I don't either. They are mean, there's no holes.
Yeah.
There's no soft spots. I mean, they're more complete of a team than I'm not saying that they would beat an NFL team, but they're more complete of a team as probably the bottom third of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every part. It's just like I said earlier. They're a well-oiled machine, and it was kind of scary to see Fields go down. I'm glad I'm glad he got was able to come back in. Granted, with a big ass brace, but it didn't seem to bother him.
Didn't seem to bother him. No.
Well, hell, he goes out a couple plays, comes back, rolls to his left, cocks his hips, throws a touchdown pass, like 25 yards. Yep. I'm like, all right, yeah,
he's fine.
He's all right. He's all right.
It did look ugly though when it happened. I thought it was
season-ending, ACL, MCL.
And I hate Ohio State, but that's nothing that I ever want to see happen to anybody, especially somebody that has a legitimate shot at winning the Heisman.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done.
Yeah, and after next year, possibly a number 1 overall pick. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, there's points in fandom where you never want to see people get hurt like that.
Just to give you an idea of how fucking good Ohio State is, they have 3 kids that are maybe considered as top 5 Heisman candidates.
Yes, and we kind of touched on it last week, and JK's put his stamp on it, mm-hmm. and he's getting more hype than the kid from Oklahoma State, who's the leading rusher in the nation. Mm-hmm. He's getting more hype than JT.
Mm-hmm. He passed Zeke today mm-hmm. for Ohio State rushing yards, which I mean. That's a pretty.
Now Zeke was only there for 3 years, though, right?
Yeah,
and JK's been there for 4, right?
Yeah, but he played. There was a pretty good timeshare there.
Yeah.
With him and the other backs. When Zeke was there for that 3 years, he was the man.
Well, I mean, he's a beast. What do you expect? But yeah, there was, and he passed Eddie George, I think,
mm-hmm. Yep.
Shortly before that. So that's some names to be mm-hmm. when you're mentioning those. With those dudes, you're doing something right. You're doing something right. Well, 2Ks, let's flip the switch on something a little happier, because I'm not feeling your energy quite yet. So let's switch from Michigan football, which is the dreary, overcast day like we're having today right now, and let's turn it over to the hoops, because I think for once you and I talked about a team, especially during especially NCAA, mm-hmm. where we've talked about them, and they haven't shit the bed. Now we're back. Okay. All right. So yeah, like we were saying, normally when we get on the bandwagon of a team, especially look at our track record last year of the NCAA, dude, we don't have the best of luck.
No,
we do not have the best of luck. But yeah, we did a whole thing last week about Juwan Howard and the job that he's doing over at the University of Michigan. He's doing quite well. Mm-hmm. He's doing quite well. And for the gentleman on Twitter that spoke out, I think you can calm down and rest assured that they're going in the right direction. And they're not shitty as fuck, I believe is what I believe he used to describe them. So 2Ks, give us a rundown of what happened at the Lawnmower Challenge or some shit?
Battle for Atlantis, but it was something. Yeah, there was like some lawn mowing name on there that was the sponsor for it.
You get me to Maui, fuck, I don't care who sponsors it. I'm going. Yeah, give us a little breakdown on what happened over there.
Well, first of all, for Juwan Howard's sake, when you step into a job where you're going back to your alma mater and there's a lot of pressure on it, and John Beilein had done nothing but good for Michigan, and took them to the
Absolutely.
top.
Yeah.
And it makes your job really, really easy when you get to start a job with a really, really good point guard who's a senior, who's mm-hmm. been there and been a starter for 3 years in a row, and also a 7-foot center that might be one of the better centers in all of college basketball, who's also a senior. So that makes that transition really easy, because you can play through those two guys alone, and then they have 6-7 guys they're a really deep team. They got 8-9 guys that they can throw in there, and I don't think they lose a whole lot off of it.
No, considering like Coach Cal might have 6.
Yeah.
5 and one guy, or maybe 2 guys that he plays on a rotation. So to have that amount of back to back to back, I think having that deep bench is absolutely a necessity.
And I think a lot of people were kind of, wondering why Michigan wasn't in the top 25 to start the season. And for one, there's a lot of basketball to be played, and every single team in college basketball is going to take their, they're going to take their L's. Mm-hmm. You're not going to win all, you're not going to run the table and win every game in the season.
Oh, we've had 3 number ones.
Yes, exactly.
Get beat already,
and 2 of them getting beat by teams that I don't know if anybody's ever really heard of.
And Duke getting beat at home.
Yes,
which that hadn't happened in like since 2004 or some shit. So yeah, it's shaping up to be quite the exciting season.
And I think what happens a lot of times though with these preseason rankings is they go by, these freshman classes and they're these teams are getting these number 1 rank, number 2 ranks because of their freshman class coming in. Well, not every freshman class that comes in is going to be like the class that Duke had last year.
No.
So I think they put a little bit too much emphasis on that, and you're ranking a team number 1 overall, and they have 3 kids in their starting lineup that have never played a college basketball game.
It's very true. And then to answer the question why folks were shocked that Michigan wasn't in that top 25, we get a new coach with a new system.
Yes, and you lost 3 kids from last year's team that were all starters.
So and preseason doesn't mean shit. What has meaning is, and Michigan fans, this is going to sound identical to Harbaugh, win the Big Ten, get in the tournament, and make some noise. Mm-hmm. Do I think they're the best team in the nation right now? No. But is there a best team in the nation right now? No.
I don't think anybody wants to be the best team in the nation right now, because once they consider you the number 1 team, you get beat.
And now the number 1 that's going to be is Louisville right now. And Louisville is a strong team.
We're going to get to see Michigan and Louisville play against each other next week.
Yes, so it's a very good early season litmus test. But the tournament we were referencing, they knocked off, was it Gonzaga first or North Carolina first?
They played Iowa State in the opener, and Iowa State's they've been a team that's made some noise in the tournament, and so they knocked them off first, and then they played North Carolina, who was number 6 in the nation, and a lot of people have been talking about that Cole Anthony being possibly the best player in college basketball.
He's legit.
Michigan was able to beat them, and then played against Gonzaga in the championship game, and they were also in the top 10, and were able to beat them. So, 3 days, 3 consecutive games, and 2 of them being against top 10 opponents, and to be able to beat them, on a neutral floor,
and bring home the ship.
Yeah, and I really think that
possibly a new lawnmower.
Yes, and when the rankings come out for next week, I would be shocked if Michigan wasn't in the top 10.
It would be a travesty if they wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
If they wasn't.
I mean, you look at anybody's schedule in college basketball right now, and they probably have the best as far as who they've beat. I mean, they have the best wins of anybody in the nation.
Yeah, their resume, and it's hard for teams to build a resume like that unless you play in a tournament atmosphere like that. But because there's always the Maui Invitational. There's 6 or 7 of the or maybe not 6 or 7, but 3 or 4. Big tournaments to kick off the year, and it's one of those where Coach Izzo has Michigan State playing one of the top teams in the nation every year, their first or second game. Yeah, which is it's not common, but for Michigan to get into this tournament, perform the way they did, I think is amazing. To have as cohesive of a unit to win a tournament where you're playing back-to-back-to-back days under a new coach, under a new system, where he's still learning their strengths, they're still learning his, I think is a great stepping stone for not only this season but seasons to come. I think wholeheartedly they made the right decision hiring Howard. I think once you see his team start to take off a little bit more, the recruiting's just going to do itself, because what we've talked about this before as well. He's a badass recruiter. He's the one that recruited everyone to Michigan to the Fab Five. Yep. So either put that reputation backed with a winning reputation, or the start of a program that's winning. he will be able to recruit in the same realm as Coach K and all the big guys, Coach Cal.
Mm-hmm.
So and I have a feeling that he's not going to be going towards, he'll be pursuing more of those 5-star one and dones, which maybe next year we won't even be having this conversation about one and dones, but as it is right now, where Beeline was kind of going away from those, and he wanted to build, his family, his program, and it worked for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Coach Izzo. He does it the same way. And I think to really be competitive, and you were asking me earlier, what the fuck's Izzo done in the last 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, it wouldn't hurt to get a couple. Now, I'm not saying run all 5 of them out there, but a couple of them a year, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Mm-hmm.
But it's their program. They run it the way they want. And Juwan Howard, I don't know him personally. Obviously, he listens to the show. But just his personality doesn't seem to be the one that wants to stay away from those kids. He wants to grab those kids, coach them up, as quick as and as good as he can to get them ready for the NBA, and then just send them on their way. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
I mean, it's Coach Cal does it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Coach K has been doing it. So I think he's setting the foundation for something that's going to be very special. And I hope that he stays there long term to actually see the completion of this project. But I know it's odd coming, those praises coming out of a Notre Dame fan's mouth, but when the shit's good, you got to be true to it. And I'm very impressed with the start. I'm very impressed with obviously winning a tournament and playing back-to-back legit opponents and beating them both. So,
and I mean, the North Carolina game, North Carolina came back in the end and made it a little bit of a game, but for the most part, I mean, Michigan just kind of had their way with them. And same thing with the Gonzaga game. I think in the end, Michigan ended up winning that game by about 17 points. And I mean, there was Gonzaga made a little bit of a run to start the second half, but Michigan just answered it. And I mean, they were by far the best team. I mean, out of all the teams I watched all last week and all the different tournaments going on, they were the most impressive team.
Yeah. So for those of you that, like Kyle brought up, was bitching that they weren't in the top 25 to start the season, who cares? They're taking care of business. They're kicking ass, and they should be in the top 10 at least. Otherwise, then we're going to start the silly talk, because then it's like, all right, well, name me 10 other teams that are better than them right now.
Yeah.
I don't think you could.
No, it's too early in the season for that. I look forward to this coming Tuesday night because Michigan's going to play against Louisville. Louisville's probably going to slide. Is that
home or at
Louisville? At Louisville.
Okay.
And Louisville's probably going to slide to the number 1 team in the nation now. And then right after that, you got Duke and Michigan State.
Yep.
Playing against each other, and that one's at Michigan State. So, we'll see what happens there. I think that the Big Ten is going to be a very good conference again. I mean, to me, those are the 2 best conferences in college basketball: the Big Ten and the ACC.
Yes. Which they have been, perennially for years now.
Yeah.
So it's nothing shocking.
But I think it's safe to say that Michigan and Michigan State are probably the 2 best teams right as it stands right now. Ohio State's got a very good team this year also. You could probably put them right there. Maryland also playing very well.
Thank God, because Maryland football sucks. And we're still trying to figure out what Rutgers does good. Maybe lacrosse? Do they have a rowing team?
They need. I would not be upset one bit if the Rutgers got booted out of the Big Ten.
I mean, if you do that, then there's one less team that Michigan State can beat on their schedule.
That's true. Very true.
All right. So are you perked up a little bit more?
Yeah. I mean, a perfect weekend, Michigan would have been able to pull it off against Ohio State. I know I picked it last week in the pick'ems. I picked them. Was I really thinking that it was going to happen? No.
There were a lot of people on Facebook that were thoroughly adamant that Michigan was going to beat them, I'm not one to talk shit, especially on Facebook. If we're sitting around a table having a couple beers, then I'm going to talk some shit. But a buddy of mine posted, he expected this and happen, and Michigan was going to win like 45-20, and I asked him what he was smoking, And I said, first of all, there's no way Michigan's going to score that many points because Ohio State's defense is that good.
Mm.
Second of all, so then he came back and he posted like the wide receiver breakdown from Ohio State compared to Michigan. Michigan's wide receivers on paper are better than Ohio State's. But I said, no, that's not what's going to win the game. It's Dobbins.
Yeah.
It's Dobbins.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State's offensive line is better than Michigan's. Ohio State's defensive line is better than Michigan's. Ohio State's linebackers are better than Michigan's. Ohio State's running backs are better than Michigan's. Ohio State's secondary is. I mean, Ohio State has a dominant quarterback. Michigan doesn't have that.
Yeah.
You know, the list goes on. There's no comparison in those two football teams.
No.
The only thing that Michigan had going for them was it was at the big house, and maybe you could being that it's a rivalry game, maybe you'll just have your day. And it didn't happen. But no, there's absolutely no. I would have never told anybody that Michigan was going to win by 40 to 45-20. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Well, it's Walt Franzak, so you know exactly where that's coming from now. It probably makes a lot more sense now, doesn't it? But yeah, the one major plus in my eyes is that Michigan's offensive line should be proud that they kept Chase Young off of Shea Patterson's ass. Granted, did he get some pressures? Sure.
Yeah.
Was he, a step away from a couple sacks? Sure. But he was a step away.
Mm-hmm.
So they've done something I haven't seen any other offensive line that Ohio State's played do. Mm-hmm. Normally he's in the backfield all the fucking time, has at least a sack. He was held sackless, and I think it didn't even have a tackle. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for a ray of positivity, there it is. Yeah. That's what it's going to be. And that, those tackles and tight ends, you guys earned your paycheck, if you want to think about it that way.
I mean, that's just the game. Today's game just wasn't. It's one of those games that's just not set up for a player like Chase Young. Hey, I'm not going to argue with anybody. Chase Young is the best player in college football.
Yes. Hands
down. He is going to be, out of everybody in this draft, he's probably going to go on to have the best NFL career of anybody. That being said, at the college game, when you play against a team like what Michigan's doing now with this spread offense and they're getting rid of the ball real quick, as a defensive end, as a pass rusher,
take you right out of the game.
You're already taken out of the game. I mean, Michigan's throwing the ball in 2 seconds. Yeah. I don't give a fuck who you are.
The Tom
Brady. You can go unblocked. You're probably not going to get there in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So,
and that's look at what Tom Brady's doing. He's doing the exact same thing. And now if you take a game like against Clemson,
yes, that's where you can make a difference.
Where you have a pocket passer. He's not.
You look at Michigan in the past with the Harbaugh pro style offenses.
Yeah,
he would. That's where he eats. He's not going to eat against a team that's running a spread offense and they're throwing quick passes on everything.
Right.
And the reason why, and Michigan has to do that. They had to do that. That's the only chance they had.
Otherwise, Young would have had 5 sacks,
yes.
And the game would have been out of
Young,
control.
It would have been 2 or 3 of the other future NFL players on that team. So,
all right. Well, let's change gears completely here, because one of the things we were teasing, and we're not going to give you the whole idea quite yet. But yeah, the NBA season started. I guess that's cool. I'm not the biggest NBA guy, especially when it gets to the playoffs. Gets close to the playoffs. I watch a little more.
A little bit.
But yeah, the NBA season started. LeBron is killing it. AD's killing it. Someone has killed all of the Golden State players, at least the starters, and I never thought I would see a Golden State team quote unquote tank, but I don't think they're tanking on purpose. It's from injury.
Yeah.
And for all you that especially Michigan State dudes that are in love with Draymond, he's about the only guy that I even know on the team. And when holy shit, Auburn, Alabama's tied 24-24. And he's not going to win you games by himself.
No, I mean he's made a career out of being the 4th guy or the 5th guy on that team.
And a pain in the ass.
And now he is the only guy on that team.
Mm-hmm.
And no, he's not. That's not the type of player that he is.
No. Now, just kind of picture it. If you, what do we got here? Was it Wisconsin's up 10-7? Yeah, Wisconsin's up 10-7 on Minnesota. So we got some games here, boys and girls. We got some games. But if you take, let's say that they are, you can't call it tanking when people are hurt. I'm sorry. It's just an unfortunate situation. If they happen to get the number 1 pick, and if you just kind of glanced at it and didn't know Clay was hurt, didn't know Steph was hurt, didn't know 9 other dudes are hurt, and you're like, how the fuck did they get the number 1 pick? And if they just so happen to take that kid out of Memphis, woo, we don't need KD no more. We don't need KD. We'll just all take a year off. Let's chill. And then, yeah, we're going to get the next KD. Okay. Whatever. But, yeah, that it's a shame to see how, them go from just world beaters down to you kind of see how mortal they are now. And in an NBA season where, leading into this, we were all talking about how we're going to see how good Steph really is because no more KD, Clay's down for the season. And then it's really unfortunate for him to be hurt because, and I'm sure the NBA ratings are hurting because everyone wants to see, Steph shoot it from everywhere and do his shimmy and, do Steph things. But aside from that, LeBron is probably having his best season, if not ever, within like the last 10 years. And he's doing it kind of Brady-like where he's just taking it over. The older he gets, the better he gets. And, of course, having Anthony Davis doesn't hurt either. And, they've got the best record in the league. They got the best record. And there's not a lot shocking going on so far. Granted, we're only, 20 games in? Something like that. So what we did, as in our normal Turbo and 2K's fashion, are way too early picks. So what we did was we picked the Eastern Conference Finals, the Western Conference Finals, the Finals, our pick to win it all, and the league MVP. So 2K, start us out with your Eastern Conference Finals.
Eastern Conference, I have the Bucks in there, which I think is kind of one of the more obvious picks.
Giannis is doing Giannis things again, or even better pace than last year.
The number 1 team in the East. Trying to pick the second team to come out of the East.
They're only 1 game back of the Lake Show for having the best record, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
All right.
Yep. Trying to pick the second team in the East is kind of there's I think to me there's about 4 teams there that you can kind of go either way on, maybe even 5. But I'm picking the Miami Heat.
Now, is Eric Spoelstra still the coach there?
No, they have. I cannot think of their coach now. It's not.
But yeah, there's a lot of teams at the top of that, especially the Eastern Conference, that I wouldn't expect, and one of them is the Heat. Now, there's just kind of off the top of my dome, there's Philly, who's probably a little lower than what most people would expect at this time of the season. There was a couple other ones that I was like, okay, I didn't expect them to be up there that high. But who ultimately? So you went Milwaukee and Miami, correct?
Yep.
I went Milwaukee, Philly.
Okay.
And the reason I think Philly's down where
they still do have Spoelstra.
Where they see him, where you see him now, is they changed a lot of things from last year, and so they're meshing, they're doing their thing now. If you follow basketball a lot, you saw Embiid was held without a point the other night. Then the next night came back with like 40. Yeah. So it is what it is. It is what it is. So where are you going in the Western Conference?
Well, first of all, Miami does still have Spoelstra. I was wrong on that.
Yes.
For some reason, I thought that they got rid of him. Probably just because they haven't been relevant since LeBron left there until now.
Yeah.
But no, in the West, going with the Lakers to be there. To me, they're the best team that I've watched in the NBA yet. They have the best player in the NBA on their team. And then against the Lakers, I'm going with the Clip Show.
LA showdown for the Western Conference Finals.
You got Kawhi, and once Kawhi gets over this load management shit down the stretch,
fuck that.
Kawhi, you got to consider. To me, he's at least a top 3 or 4 player in the league.
Yep.
And then you add Paul George to that, and they had a good lineup last season without those two.
Yeah.
They took the Warriors to Game 7 last year.
Probably should have beat the Warriors.
Yeah. So they're very good roster all around.
Now my question is, if the Lakers and Clippers play in the same building, can we do away with the travel day? Because no one, what are you going across the hall in the other locker?
Know that they're never going to give that
fuck
up.
No, they're not.
NBA playoffs take 2.5 months.
Yeah, the baseball playoffs take 4 weeks and they're done. My Western Conference, I'm also taking the Lakers. I don't think there's anyone in their right mind, unless you're a Laker hater, that is not picking the Lakers to go to the finals. Now, already, Davis has been banged up a little bit with his shoulder and then an elbow the other night. And, when they went back to play at the Pelicans, and where he got traded from, he got booed horribly, which they have every right to boo because he's the one that requested the trade. He didn't want to be there. And he goes off for like 41 or some shit. The most ever by a returning player that got traded. And that was with he dinged up his elbow. So if he stays healthy, and obviously LeBron has to stay healthy.
Oh, yeah.
And aside from last year, LeBron has been more than healthy throughout his whole career. So yeah, and if you're not picking the Lakers, it's because of one of those two things. Oh, well, I think Anthony Davis is going to be hurt. How the fuck can you know that? Just shut up. But I'm going sneaky. I'm going Dallas.
I like Dallas a lot.
Dallas probably has one of the more young nucleus that's really fun to watch. And it looks like they have fun. They get along extremely well. Unlike Philly, where it seems like there's always someone pissed off. And they're a great team. Mark Cuban's done it again. And if they don't make it this year, I think within the next 2 years, they will make an a Western Conference final. Mark my words. I think Dallas is a better team than Houston. And speaking of Houston, that Russell Westbrook, James Harden experiment's working okay so far.
Yeah, it really has. It's kind of shocking to me because I really thought when they made that trade, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You have two guys that kind of dominate the ball.
Yeah, they need the ball.
And the question was, could Russell take a back seat? And so far to this point, he's done a pretty good job at that.
Yeah, he's got a really fucked up haircut, and he does what he's asked. So far so good. Like I said, I was shocked. So with those two finals, or the conference finals predictions, I'm going scratch. I'm going chalk. I know, big shocker. I'm taking the Lakers and Milwaukee, and I'm taking the Lakers in 6. What do you got?
I'm taking the Lakers over Milwaukee, and I'll say it goes 7.
I was leaning that way, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put my dick on the table and say 6. And who's your MVP?
This one was tough because as much as I wanted to go LeBron, just because, so far this season he's been the best player.
You give LeBron the MVP most every year,
yes.
Aside from last year.
And it cracks me up because last year people were starting to put 3 or 4 players ahead of LeBron.
Get the fuck out of here.
And LeBron was hurt. That's all you can say about last. You got to basically just throw last season in the trash and forget about it. There's nobody in the game today that can even you can even compare to LeBron.
No,
period.
There's not, and he's showing it yet again that if he wants to dominate, he can, without a question.
But as far as my MVP pick, I'm making this pick pretty much solely on volume. I know that this guy's going to shoot the ball 40 times every single night. I know he's at the end of the season he's probably going to average over 30 points a game.
I thought Kobe retired.
And well, this is the closest thing that we have today to Kobe.
Kobe V2,
and that's James Harden.
It's hard to pick against that. I mean, you could go that route and go Giannis again. I think with these, what did you call them, like maintenance days or whatever the fuck they're doing? With all the players doing that, I mean, can you really consider them if against a dude that's not doing that? Mm-hmm. And all in all, I kind of tipped it off where I said this might be the best season LeBron's ever had. So I'm giving it to LeBron, and I know I'm going to get some hate because everyone from the LeBron haters, of course. Mm-hmm. But you can hate on him all you want. If you don't agree with me, I don't know what the fuck you're watching on your TV, mm-hmm. because he is the best player on the planet right now, hands down. So if you want to argue with me, that's fine. But I have a whole basket of knowledge bombs over here that I'll be more than willing to drop to prove my point. I didn't say prove you wrong. I said prove my point. Mm-hmm. Because that's what's so great about sports. We can argue about it, and neither one of us are going to be right.
The only argument that could be had on LeBron right now is whether or not he's the best of all time. Mm-hmm. That's the only argument that you can even have about him right now. He is hands down the best player right now.
And there's some folks too that could say that Anthony Davis could take some of his MVP votes away. God, words are hard. And just because they're on the same team. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I don't give a fuck. I really don't. And as it was with Jordan, as it was with Kobe, as it was with as it is with Mike Trout and LeBron, it's like people hate giving them to the same person year in and year out. But if they're the best fucking dude, give it to them.
Yep.
Give it to him. Don't make up this stupid shit. Well, he had in the fourth quarter on Tuesdays when the game starts at 7, this dude had better stats than LeBron. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not trying to hear that. Not trying to hear that. So yeah, our little tease. We started talking about the NBA. I think we started talking about it earlier this year than obviously because we weren't podcasting at this time last year. But Mr. 2Ks came to me with an idea for the show. I was like, fuck yes, that sounds awesome. And we're going to spill the beans. So Mr. 2Ks, it was your idea. So give the fans the rundown for what's going to happen next week.
Okay, so next week we're going to be bringing Christian back on the show, so we're going to have the three of us. We haven't had all three of us on for quite a while.
Yeah.
And Christian's probably, out of the three of us, probably has the most NBA knowledge of anybody. So
I'm not going to argue that.
He was definitely he follows it a lot. But he was one of the first ones I had in mind, and he's a sucker for this kind of shit the same way that I am. I love drafts. Mm-hmm. And so what we're doing is we are going to do an all-time best NBA team draft, to where it's going to be a snake draft, just the three of us, and I'm talking any generation basketball that you want, and you have to draft a starting 5, and you have to draft a coach, and you can do it in any order that you want. You just have in the end, all three of us are going to have 6 picks, and once we have our teams, then we're going to post that onto our Facebook page, mm-hmm. and we're gonna have people vote on it on what is the best team. Now, to me, the way that the voting goes, it's up to our fans.
Yep.
I mean, you can vote solely on the best team as far as what's gonna work. Will these 5 guys work well together, or you can put your vote on, well, Christian's got the 5 best players. Mm-hmm. of all time. So it's kind of a judgment call as far as that goes. But no, I'm curious to see how it goes, and to see people's ideas, and I'm curious to get feedback from some of our listeners and to see what they have to say about it. So
yeah, I absolutely. We didn't do a draft per se with Denny when it came to basketball, but when it came to baseball, we did something a little different format. Mm-hmm. Our all-time all-star mm-hmm. team. So yeah, and I think maybe next year we do a draft like that for for our All-Star team.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the idea. It's anything to get the fans communicating with us and getting some input. Anything we do, I love it. I love it. I love it. So yeah, next week we'll probably do that. I probably won't have too many topics on board unless something crazy happens between now and then. But yeah, the show will pretty much be a lot of that, and of course our picks, so we can talk shit amongst each other. Excuse me.
The only thing we have to come up with yet is a draft order. We're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna do that.
I thought we were gonna cut cards.
That works for me.
Highest goes first, second, third.
Yep.
Bing, bang, boom. Bing, bang, boom.
It's got to be something quick too, because it's to me, I would not be shocked if this goes closer to hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah. So get locked in, get ready, get your drinks and refreshments ready, because we're going hardcore right out the gate with it. But speaking of picks, let's wrap this week's episode up with Paycheck and Onions. 2Ks, what is your first pick'em?
First pick'em, I'm going NFL. I've picked these guys, it seems like, every single week. I mean, they are my favorite NFL team. But they just keep on letting me down over and over and over again. I think that it's safe to say that if something miraculous doesn't happen and the Cowboys just go on and win the Super Bowl, I think it's safe to say Jason Garrett's days in Dallas are gone. But I'm picking the goddamn Cowboys to go and beat the Bears.
How do them and the Bears both have the same record?
Who the fuck would have thunk it before this season started? And I picked the Cowboys to be in the fucking Super Bowl.
Now here's the thing too, is that after everyone watched the Thanksgiving debacle, we all got it beaten into our heads that the Cowboys haven't beaten a team with a winning record. Even if they beat the Bears, they won't have beaten a team with a over 500 record, because they're 6-6. My first game, now it was kind of hard to pick these, because they're next week with college football. There's the conference title games, and a lot of them aren't even set yet. They're still waiting for games being played today. So I went and I'm looking at the Big Ten title game. Whoever wins between Minnesota and Wisconsin, they're playing right now. I really don't think it matters who they play. I'm taking Ohio State over them.
Yep.
And actually, I'm agreeing with you, and I think this is the first time we both agreed on a pick. I'm taking the Cowboys over the Bears as well, even though it's in Chicago. I don't have the greatest confidence in Dak. I don't understand why Zeke's not getting 35 touches a game. You've already paid him. Use him. He's the best back in the NFL when it comes to catching passes out of the backfield and running it. Between him and Christian McCaffrey, you don't get any better. And why they're forcing Dak to throw 40 and 50 times a game is beyond me when you have someone like that. And I think that's the reason that they're declining and I'm sure everyone that owns Zeke in fantasy has seen the decline in his points probably too. His touches go down, his touchdowns go down, his touches go down, his yards go down. So it doesn't really matter what form of fantasy football you play. You're going to see a decrease. So I know that's not all Jason Garrett. That's the offensive coordinator as well. And if it was my team, Zeke would be getting at least 35 touches a game, kind of Le'Veon Bell style. And look where it got them. So, what is your second pick'em game?
Second pick, I'm staying in the NFL. I'm going with Patriots and Chiefs. And I know there's a lot of talk about, Patrick Mahomes, especially last season, maybe being the next best quarterback in the NFL. I know Lamar Jackson might have something to say about that.
Yeah. That kid is fun to watch.
But Tom Brady's going to let him know, hey, I'm still the motherfucking GOAT around here. TB12, Patriots, beat the Chiefs.
Get off my fucking lawn. I'm staying in the NFL as well, and I'm taking kind of a flyer on this one, because I'm looking at the 49ers at New Orleans. And the only reason I'm picking the Saints is because it's at New Orleans. Jimmy G and those boys are playing great. The defense is playing amazing. The Saints defense is playing not for the 49ers defense is one of the best in the NFL. Probably a fourth or fifth would be the Saints. So they're playing a little bit not as good. But then again, the offense for the 49ers isn't the offense of the Saints. Even though the Saints offense has sputtered the last couple games, they seem Drew Brees always plays better in that dome.
Mm-hmm.
He does. So will it be a close game? Yep. It'll be like a 21-17 game or something like that. But I'm looking at the Saints over the 49ers in Nolans. And what's your last pick 'em?
Last pickup game, I'm going SEC Championship. And I'm going LSU over Georgia, and Burrow wins the Heisman with this game.
It's kind of hard to argue that. I was shocked to see Georgia put up 56 or almost 60 points today, and somehow Jake Fromm threw for 4 touchdowns and didn't even throw for it was like 270. Didn't even throw for 300 yards. So that's going to be a great game. Going to be a great game. I think Georgia's defense is probably the best defense that Burrow's going to face up until, or if them and Ohio State get to play, then I think that's hands down the best defense he's going to face. But until then, Georgia's defense is going to be the best.
Yep.
And if you just to kind of give you a score update, it was like 32-27 or some shit at halftime. Alabama over Auburn. Didn't think it'd be that high a scoring, but so my paycheck. Did we get all your pick'ems too, Case?
Yep.
Okay. My paycheck. I'm looking at the Seahawks at the Rams, and yes, I am taking Russell Westbrook. Not Russell Westbrook. Russell Wilson.
We were talking about NBA. I get it.
Russell Wilson. Taking him and his Seahawks with that defense over the Rams. Even though it's at the Rams, I don't think the Rams are in a very depressing decline. Between them and the Chargers, can any team play in LA, or can any good team play in California? I don't know. Who is your paycheck game?
Paycheck game, I'm going Big Ten championship game, and I'm taking Ohio State. I have wrote down here Ohio State over anyone because we don't know who's coming out out of the other side of the Big Ten yet. But yeah, right at this point, you put an opponent on the field against Ohio State, and I'm probably picking Ohio State.
Yeah, it'd be. Yeah, the only one I'd really actually have to think about is them versus LSU, or them versus Clemson.
Clemson's kind of the one that I'm kind of intrigued by. It seems like they're starting to kind of peak at the right time now. Trevor
Lawrence has hit his stride, and I watched the highlights today. Off his back foot, throws like a 56-yard dime. It's like, holy shit. So, yeah, Dabo's got them boys peaking at the right time, which is always fun. I like Dabo. And what is your Onions pick of the game, of the week?
Onions pick, I'm going to the NFL, and I'm actually really rooting for this game to pan out because as a Cowboys fan, I need all the help that we can get. And I'm picking the Giants over the Eagles.
All right.
Cowboys, as of this time right now, still hold the advantage on the Eagles. The Eagles play against Miami tomorrow, so that'll probably change. But
looking at Danny Dimes, get him fired up.
Yep.
All right, I like it. I'm also looking at the NFL, and I'm taking the Bills over the Ravens.
Ooh.
Bills over the Ravens.
Wow.
Allen's been playing a lot better. That defense has been playing lights out. Let's just see if they can have... You can't stop Lamar. And maybe contain him, I guess. But if there's going to be a defense that can, it's going to be the Bills. Or a defense like the Bills. Very fast, sideline to sideline. Very deep. And corners that can shut you down. Corners that can tackle.
I'm really looking forward to seeing tomorrow's matchup with Ravens versus the Niners. I want to see that Niners defense and see what they can do against Lamar because this last month or so, I don't know if there's any defense that can slow him down. I mean, he is just having a field day out there.
They threw some ridiculous stat, and don't hold me to it, but he has more touchdown passes than incompletions in like his last 3 games. which is just it just blows my mind. And especially for someone that's not known for his passing.
No.
I mean, if Drew Brees went through, because Drew Brees holds the completion percentage record and is probably going to break his own record for the third straight year. Someone like him, someone like Brady, someone like Rodgers, who are kind of as far as the passing goes, are a master at their craft. Even Russell Wilson. And if you told me that they went on a 3-game span where they threw more touchdown passes than incompletions, I would believe it. If you told me that about Lamar Jackson, I'd be like, there's no fucking way. No, he might have more rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns. So when he's not doing it with his legs, obviously he's doing it with his arm. And for a player to do it both, I think is kind of crazy. And then Mike Vick gave him the Madden shoes where they can track him and see how far they go. I thought that was kind of cool. So we shall see. It when they went up and faced the Pats were the best defense in the league. I think he kind of torched them.
Yep.
And he's just been gaining more and more confidence and more just momentum, just to say, you know what, fuck you and everybody that's on this field. I'm the best athlete. Watch me go. So he's got a couple weeks here where if these two defenses can't figure him out, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the only concern I have for the Ravens at all at this point, because to me, where we stand right now, I consider them the best team in the NFL. They're kind of the team to beat. But we talked about it in the baseball season. We talked about it in the NBA. You got to peak at the right time. And my question is, have the Ravens peaked too soon?
That's a question to be answered too, and as well as, can he stay healthy? You know, RG3 was kind of the same way. Very dynamic. Had a cannon for an arm. Wasn't as good a passer that Lamar's turned out to be. He got the shit beat out of him. Now he's Lamar's backup, ironically enough. And, you know, Russell Wilson was like that when he first came in. And he kind of put the kibosh on doing all that running. And now, is he still mobile? Absolutely. But not like, they're not calling quarterback draws for Russell Wilson. And if they do it, maybe 1 or 2 a game, not to the extent of, my biggest concern is, can he stay healthy? And there's a lot of folks who are like, oh, is he kind of starting the new, like, perfect quarterback trend? No. Now, if he does this for 10 years, or let's say even 5. I think that traditionally, you look at all of these kids as pocket passers, run second. Kind of like Justin Fields today. You know, especially in the first half, he couldn't throw the ball worth shit, but he ran it a lot. And a lot of them were not like designed runs for him. It was like, oh shit, he's covered, gone. And I think the trend is going to go more towards, you know, not like the Eli Mannings, Ben Roethlisberger's, Phillip Rivers. If you look at the, you know, Lamar's draft class, Mahomes, him, Watson, what do they all have in common? Extremely mobile.
Yep.
Granted, Lamar's on another level of being mobile, but I think you're going to look at quarterbacks like that more because they're playing, you know, they're running the spread in college. They have to do that. So are the days of, you know, the Tom Brady and, you know, even going back to Aaron Rodgers was like that. And that's part of, you know, a lot of people are saying his game's going down or slowly trailing off because he doesn't do that. He can't do that anymore. Do I think that, you know, like that Ben Roethlisberger class, are we going to see quarterbacks like that? Sure. Sure. There's always going to be a spot in the league if you're a pocket passer. But I think teams are going to get away from just looking at kids like that and also looking at, all right, well, okay, cool. This kid can do this and that. Okay, that's a bonus. So, yeah, is he going to be a mold breaker by any means? No. No. Will he further the conversation for it? Sure. Sure. All right. Did we get all your picks, 2Ks?
Yep.
All right. And if the Ravens, No, never mind. I was confused. Which happens a lot. It happens a lot. But I hope everyone had a great Turkey Day. I hope everyone had a great weekend with friends and family. And I hope that your week is completely awesome. If I find some stuff, I will post some little teasers and ticklers on the Facebook page and the Twitter page. So keep an eye on that about where I might be going with my team that we're drafting. I'll tease everybody with some shit. Why? Because I like to. But with that being said, 2K crew, we'll leave you with that. Have a great week. Keep kicking ass. Stop playing Christmas music. I know it's December, but it's not close enough yet. So stop playing Christmas music. And we will catch you next week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.